Okay, this is what I'd like you to do. I'd like you to imagine that it's been raining for 4 days. I know that's hard in Colorado, but it's raining for 4 days. You've been in the house. On the 5th day, the sun comes out and you want to get outside. So you put on a coat, you put on your boots, and you get out of the house. You go walking down that path that you absolutely know and love and is your comfort place. And as you're walking around, you kind of forget that it's been raining for 4 days. And as you walk down that path, you step into a deep pile of mud. And you can't move. You're stuck. You literally are stuck. Well, have you ever had the feeling of being stuck? That frustration that you feel like, I don't understand why I can't move. I can't understand why I can't go here or there. Have you ever been confused by that? Like, how the heck did I get here? How silly is that? And then, I got to tell you what happens next. You kind of get embarrassed. Like, I got this, I'm fine. I know I'm stuck, I'm good, I'll be okay. It's during those times when we get stuck, that can be in work, that can be in our relationships, that can be in the life that we choose to live, that the most inappropriate question is usually asked of us. Somebody finds out you're stuck and they turn to you and they go, oh, I see that you're not in a place that you want to be. So, what do you want? Drives me nuts. I don't know what I want. If I knew what I wanted, I wouldn't be stuck. And I know that to be true because I've been there. When I left my company after 22 years, I found myself on the other side in a place where I had no idea what was next. I was frustrated because I thought I should know, and I didn't know how I got to this place of, I don't know what I want. I was confused because how can I not know what's next? I knew for 22 years what was next. Now I'm confused. And I got to tell you, I was a little bit embarrassed because I'm supposed to be the one who can see what is next. So we all find ourselves here. And I'll tell you, the real truth behind it is I was actually scared. And I'm not alone in that. When we find ourselves stuck, there are actually 3 universal fears that we have to get through. The first is the fear of the unknown. That dark place, that place where I can't see down that path, around that corner. What that is telling us and holding us is our protective brain saying to us, you know what? You don't have enough information. You've got more questions than you've got answers. So what we need to be able to do when we're confronted by the fear of the unknown is we need to get into research gear. We need to start to explore and discover and come up with the information that starts to answer the questions that we have. The second fear that we have is the fear of failure. And I gotta tell you, this one pisses me off. Why on earth do we put so much weight on the idea of making a mistake? Or of not meeting an expectation that we set? Or on just messing up? When if you pay attention to those experiences, to those times, those circumstances in your life, and ask why it happened, what else could I have done? Is there a better way that I could have approached that? Then where is the failure if we learn? Right? The third takes a little bit of the fear of the unknown, it takes a little bit of the fear of failure, and it balls it up into the general fear of change. We like to be comfortable. We're humans. We like to be comfortable. We like to know. We like to be set in our ways. So what we do when we give into these fears is the ultimate result is we settle. We settle for less. We believe that the energy it's going to take to do something more is more than it takes to settle. So I hate my boss. I don't like the work that I do, but at least I have a paycheck. Or I live in a place where there's no sun because I live facing a parking lot, so I always have to close the blinds, and I feel like I live in a cave, and I hate to come home at night, but at least I have a roof over my head. So when we settle, we make excuses. Well, I think what we have to do is change the whole perspective. We have to change the question from what do I want, which makes me belligerent, to what is most important to me? How do we figure out what's most important? The way we do that is by asking ourselves, when do we thrive? When do you thrive? When do you thrive when you work? When do you thrive in your relationship? When do you thrive in the way that you set up the life you want to live? How do we thrive? When we know how we thrive, then we can get from the settle and move to the more. So maybe you're the type of person who loves to work in a team. Man, you love collaboration. You love that creative process. You love being able to take a project from the beginning to the middle to the end and launch it to the world and have an impact on society. Or maybe you're the person who likes to stay in your own house in a really dark room behind a computer, and please don't make me attend any meetings, and if you're going to communicate with me, do it by email or text, and just leave me alone to do what I do best. No judgment. Whatever it is, however you thrive, when you understand what that looks like, you're able to take that information and distill it down to the criteria for yourself to be able to raise your bar for when you say yes to an opportunity or no to an opportunity. Okay? When I work with my clients, we get to the point where there are 4, 5, 6 criteria of how they thrive and get to a point of understanding what is most important to them. Imagine having a personal list of what's most important to you in working, in your relationship, and in the life you want to live. Imagine what that's like. What do we do with that? Well, what we do with that is when an opportunity comes up, then we're able to kind of throw that opportunity up against that list. And as far as I'm concerned, if you can't check every single box, why would you say yes? So it makes the yes really difficult to attain. But if you have an opportunity and you can check 2 of those boxes, well, doesn't it make it pretty easy to say no? So what happens is we make no easy to get to. That's how we thrive. We get yes, the difficult one. We raise the bar. Now, once we have that list, do you think that we figured out what's next and we're unstuck and we get to walk out of the mud? Well, yes, but there's one more step. And that is we actually have to put a stake in the ground and make a decision to do it. I can't tell you how many people I work with who get through that whole process and then sit right in that place of, well, I'm real clear. Yeah, well, what are you going to do? I don't know. Oh my goodness, you got to make a decision to do it. Then you get onto your next, based on what's important to you, based on when you thrive. Now, here's the thing. Life is full of nexts. We go from one next to the next, step after step after step. Sometimes it's a pivot, sometimes it's a chapter change, and sometimes it's a life transformation. I found myself in a place where I needed to figure out what was important to me in order to understand what was next and pull myself from that mud. And when I realized that the things that were important to me, I had this vision once it sort of came about, that I was looking for freedom, I was looking for expansiveness, I was looking for the opportunity to really start living a different way. Well, then I was able to have a vision that I could see. And that vision was I really wanted to find a piece of land with a magnificent view that I could build a house on, that I could sit on the porch with a really big hat, not quite sure where that came from, and look out at that view. That's my view. Now, as we evolve in life, what's important to us also evolves. It's important to know what's next. I know what's important to me right now. What's important to you? Thank you.